The word Kabbalah in Hebrew means reception. And again, synchromistically this day, as the date 10/4, I tend to look at it being about reception, about being openness, relating to openness to truth. So Kabbalah was proper reception, the proper state of mind that one needed to be in to receive truth. It's an ancient system of Hebraic esoteric teachings, communicated to initiates through symbols and correspondences. The most well-known and significant aspect of Kabbalistic symbolism is the tree of life, this symbol on the left. It's formed by what's called sephirot, which means emanations. There are 10 of them. And these 10 sephirot or emanations are connected by 22 paths, forming this tree structure. The sephirot corresponds to various aspects of human mental and emotional characteristics. An 11th sphere named Da'at is not considered as one of the sephirot, but rather as the place from which the entire tree of life grows. And Da'at corresponds to the realm of hidden or occulted knowledge. As we'll see when I break down the tarot tradition in the last segment of the presentation, Da'at actually corresponds to the first of the 3 trivium steps: knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. You could see in the image that Binah corresponds to understanding and Hokmah to wisdom. But these 3 spheres at the top of the tree of life ultimately lead to the crown, which is known as Keter in Kabbalah, and that is the highest expression of consciousness. The Kabbalistic tree has correspondences to the Vedic chakra systems, with each level of the tree corresponding to a different chakra. So the Malkuth or kingdom level of the Kabbalistic tree corresponds to the root chakra. The Yesod or foundation Sephirah corresponds to the sacrum chakra or the desire center. Hod and Netzah correspond to the solar plexus chakra, a dualistic chakra because the will center is comprised of an internal aspect, courage, and an external aspect, will. And then Tiferet in the middle of the Kabbalistic tree corresponds to the heart chakra. And then Geburah and Hesed correspond to the throat chakra. One of these spheres, Geburah, corresponds to working upon yourself and the inner voice that you have to employ to transform inwardly. Whereas Hesed or compassion, that sphere corresponds to influencing other people with your voice, influencing other people with your voice, influencing other people with your voice. Then, of course, we get up to the higher levels of the tree, which I've already talked about, corresponding to the third eye chakra, understanding and wisdom, and then the crown chakra, unity consciousness. There are 3 pillars or paths on this tree, corresponding to the vertical columns. The left-hand path is known as the pillar of severity and generally deals with the internal aspects of consciousness. The right-hand pillar, the pillar of mercy, generally deals with the external or masculine aspects of consciousness, and the pillar of mildness in the middle represents the synthesis between those 2 paths. There is a order to the sephirot or emanations, and they're labeled as such, with the first sephirah, Keter, being number 1, and then moving in a progression down through Malkuth, which is Sephirah 10. And the energy movement on the tree of life corresponds to a being that is moving upward in a state of consciousness. from Malkuth, which represents base consciousness and physical world identification, up through the crown chakra. So this is the progression of energy on the tree of life. It works in a lightning bolt pattern. And often the Kabbalistic tree is referred to as the thunderstruck tree. You'll often see it depicted as a tree being struck by lightning, because this lightning path represents the path of energy from unconsciousness and worldly identification to enlightened or unity consciousness. Also in the Kabbalistic tradition, Kabbalists refer to what is known as 4 worlds of Kabbalah. And the triangles on the Kabbalistic tree correspond to these worlds. So if you look at the Kabbalistic tree as being 3 sets of 3 spheres joined by paths in triangles, you could look at Keter, Chokmah, and Binah as one of these triangles at the top of the tree. Then you could look at Hesed, Geburah, and Tiferet in the middle of the tree as the second triangle, the second triad of spheres. That represents another world. Then Hod, Netzah, and Yesod representing yet a third world, and then the base Malkuth, or kingdom, representing a fourth. So these worlds are as follows. Asiyah is the bottom world. It represents the physical plane or the material world. And it corresponds to the alchemical symbol of earth. And there's only one sphere in that world, Malkuth. Again, that's not really progressing. That's staying earthbound, earth-identified, physical world-identified, base consciousness, only dealing with the physical plane. You don't have to look at it as a negative thing. It's just the things that operate in the physical domain. The next world up is Yetzirah, and that's called the formative world or the mental plane, corresponding to air or intellect. Again, that's comprised of the 3 spheres, Yesod, Hod, and Netzah in that triangular formation. Above that, you have the creative world, the emotional plane represented by water, and that is the second triangle of Tiferet, the heart chakra corresponding to emotion, Geburah, and Hesed. Then you pass what is known as the line that represents the abyss, that is Da'at, leading to the truly higher realm, which is the realm of will or spirit, symbolized by the alchemical element of fire, and symbolized and comprised of the top triumvirate of the Kabbalistic tree, Keter, crown or unity consciousness, Chokmah, wisdom, basically because it represents right action, it's on the active side of the tree, and Binah, which is understanding and reception. Those are what is known as the 4 worlds of the Kabbalistic tree.
We have to be very careful about how we interpret what we read, especially the Bible. And I'll tell you why. When I research these secret societies, and I research the Bible, and by the way, I'm a Christian, so if you're a Christian, don't think I'm knocking your religion. I'm not. I'm just telling you what I found. I have found that at the very heart and core of all these secret societies lurks the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah is the ancient Jewish mysticism. It is a method of encoding information through a system of mathematics and numbers. It is some of the most ancient knowledge that man has ever possessed and has been kept secret and given only to those who have proven themselves worthy through the process of initiation. Nobody knows where it comes from. I can tell you this, it was there long before the Jews came along. The Jews just took it and preserved it, and they passed it down, and it's used by everybody. Because it's at the heart and core of the secret knowledge, the metaphysics, the real science that none of us know anything about. These people that belong to the secret societies never dared to write down in any language what they knew, what it was that they were guarding, because then someone could steal it and then the secret would be out. So they devised secret systems of encoding the secrets of the ages, the knowledge, the hidden knowledge, the occult. Now, occult doesn't mean evil. It doesn't mean the devil. It doesn't mean Satan. Occult means hidden. It means hidden. That's all it means. So they took this knowledge and they made it occult through a system of encoding, encryption, one of which is mathematics, numbers. Another is architecture. Everybody wonder, why do they have a fraternal organization called the Freemasons? Aren't those the guys that build walls? You bet they do. But every wall they build contains the secrets that have been kept and maintained throughout the ages, and it's encoded in the architecture and in the measurements of the buildings and in the mathematical formulas used to derive the geometry, the shape, the length and breadth and height of room.
To explain the origin of the work, Rabbi Moses ben Leon therefore took the attitude, or held forth the belief, that is more or less contained within the text itself, that the original author was a Rabbi Simeon ben Yochai, a man who wrote the work or compiled it under inspiration about the year 161 A.D., during the reign of the Roman Caesar Marcus Aurelius Antoninus. This Rabbi Simeon was a mystic. To escape Roman persecution, he went into the wilderness and lived in a cave. And here for many years he was supposed to have received mystical experiences, forms of illumination. The prophets of old came to him. He received instruction from the angelic hosts that are referred to in the Pentateuch. As a result of this great length of time in isolation in this cave, he gradually wrote down or transcribed this mystic doctrine. However, of course, Rabbi Simeon did not himself claim that he invented the idea. He did not invent the Kabbalah, nor is it actually demonstrable that he was the first to write on the subject in ancient times. Actually, I think we will have to assume that the Kabbalah more or less accumulated. And all of this accumulation did not take place within the body of ancient Jewry itself. The moment we begin to investigate the subject, we come upon a number of rather interesting possibilities. The date 161 A.D. may be comparatively correct for an important revelation by compilation of certain doctrines that were available in the Near East at that time. The actual structure of the Kabbalah shows that it is profoundly indebted to Gnosticism, the sect that was flourishing at that time in North Africa and in parts of Syria, a sect which has come again into prominence in recent years from the discovery of the great Gnostic library at Chenobaskian in central Egypt.